Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. We're just allowing people a couple seconds to log in.
Yara, you give me the go ahead when you're ready.
Perfect. We'll just wait probably about another minute, Sadie, and then we can go ahead and get started.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Erica. Yes, we can hear you.
Great.
Yep, we do ask that you remain muted throughout the presentation.
Okay.
Just so there isn't any feedback.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you. Sadie, we can go ahead and get started.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Just for an FYI, we will be recording this session. There were some folks that aren't able to join this morning, so we want to make sure they have access to this information. So we are recording, just so you're aware. Thank you for joining us for the Baxter Community Center Community Convening, or the Community-Based Doula Program. So I'm from Health Connect One, along with my coworker Tikva, and Health Connect One is partnering with Baxter Community Center to help them implement the community-based doula model. So I'm gonna quickly let Tikva and Kira introduce themselves before we get started.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all log on. And for those of you who are not zoomed out, it's awesome to see you. I am Tikva Wally. I am the co-lead to Sadie, and we're excited about being online as well as with you guys. And hopefully we get some more understanding and exciting activities out of you guys. That's me.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kira Baskin, certified doula and lactation counselor, and I'm also the program manager for the community-based doula program at Baxter Community Center. I know most of you, but for anyone that's new, welcome and thanks for being here.
Great. So I did want to acknowledge that it is Veterans Day today as we get together. And just want to acknowledge that and honor our troops. So we'll go ahead and move to the next slide. So this is an idea of what we are going to do today. We're going to share, me and Tikva are going to share about Health Connect One and the community-based doula model. Then we'll hear from Baxter on more specific details about how they're going to implement the program. And we will be doing a breakout session after we get a stretch break in the middle. And then we will open it up to questions and comments from the group. So our objectives today are to convene members from the target community. We hope that everyone leaves feeling excited about supporting this program and invested in its success. And we're going to discuss the essential components and understand better from the Baxter community what your priorities are. So because there are quite a few people here, and we aren't able to do individual introductions with everybody, I did want to do a poll just to get a better sense of who we have with us today. So I'm launching the poll, and I would love everybody to check off if you identify as any of these types of providers. If you're a community leader, you can answer more than one. So you don't have to just be one thing or another. You can mark all that apply. So I'm seeing lots of answers come in. So we'll give about 30 more seconds for people to answer the question. So I still see some movement, so I'm just going to give it a little bit longer. Okay. So can folks see the results of the survey?
Yes.
Thank you, Tikva. So this is a breakdown of who we have in the room today. It looks like the highest number of folks here are interested in learning more about the doula training. So thank you for that. After that, I see community member leader, which is great because we want to make sure we have that representation in the room as well. Okay. So I'm going to share a little bit more about Health Connect One. We are an organization that's focused on advancing respectful, equitable, community-based, peer-to-peer support for pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding, and early parenting. So that's a mouthful. Basically, we are focused on prioritizing peer-to-peer support during the birthing year of a family. So that means not just the birth, but pregnancy, birth, and everything that happens after that. We are an organization that's based in Chicago. That's where we started. And we have been working since 1986. So we have been around for quite some time. And we focus on addressing perinatal disparities among Black, Latinx, Indigenous, people of color, and other marginalized communities. So just to get a sense of who we are, this is our team. As you can see, I'm on here as well as Tikva, and this is a picture of the rest of us as well. So I wanted to share briefly about some of the work we've done with other partners. We have done doula training and doula replication with an organization called Sister Web in California. Tikva was our lead for that one. We are also working on community-based doula replication with the Tulsa Birth Equity Initiative. And some of the other work that we've done is partnering with AmChip, providing our expertise on community-based engagement. And we've also done doula training with an organization called Kids Above All, and that's in Chicago. And we've also worked with folks in Puerto Rico around infant feeding in emergencies. So this just gives you a little bit of an idea of what we've been up to the last year. This is a map of our work and folks that we've partnered with across the country, just to give an idea of the reach of some of our programs. And we have some excellent partners that we work with. And these partners can also be a resource for the Baxter Community Center as they're implementing the community-based doula program. So I have a brief video to share with you. This is the trailer for A Doula Story, which was a documentary that was filmed in Chicago with one of our most early trained community-based doulas, and her name is Laretha. She actually just retired not that long ago. So I'm going to share a brief video.
Can we turn it up? The
Maybe
volume?
there's no sound.
Volume, CD.
Okay, let me work on that.
But in the meantime, who has heard, who has seen, oh, okay.
Is that better?
That make you feel funny talking to him? Because you're not used to that? You get used to it. The more you talk to the baby, the better he's going to be. Some of the girls do come here and they haven't been parented in a nurturing way. So, you know, if you're not taught that special love, if nobody comes and put their arms around you and make you just melt, then you'll never have that feeling. And I tell them, is it okay if I hug you, you know, if I give you a hug? And then they'll tell me, yeah, and I give them a hug. And then I say, now you see how that felt, you know. I'm hugging you, not trying to get anything from you. Nothing but a feeling. Nothing but to take you where I am.
Perfect timing. Your mom. Yep. Finally. As I work with these teen moms, young women, ladies, something in their life has triggered them to follow a certain path. I cannot correct that. I am not there to say, okay, you did this, now you're on your own. Okay, you've decided to get pregnant, now you figure out how you're gonna feed it. I believe that by the time I get them, they've already gone through all that. I'm so proud of you. Aren't you proud of you?
Yeah.
Doula means birth attendant.
My baby too, boo-boo. That's right, boo-boo. Yeah.
But a doula means much more for Laretha and Sandra and other women working in Health Connect One's community-based doula programs across the country.
Oh, let's get ready. On your happy face. You're gonna read this book to the baby. Read it over and over and over. When you read the book, say, "Oh, the wonderful wisdom of rock. What? You like that too? Oh, yeah, look at that.
Laretha and Sandra are part mentor, part healthcare educator, part advocate, and part surrogate mother.
Okay. So each time you rocking and moving the baby down. Okay.
Perfect. We have a baby boy. Moses is born.
These doulas partner with disadvantaged and underserved mothers-to-be from pregnancy and childbirth through the crucial first months of their babies' lives.
Tell her about times when you go out.
Increasing numbers of babies in this country are born into poverty to teenage mothers or to women without education, resources, and support. They struggle to take care of themselves and their children. Their future is often uncertain.
So where Edge is baby from?
We got 45 years.
45.
45.
So he's out the picture.
Working in communities where families face overwhelming challenges, Laretha and Sandra are always there for their clients, nurturing them through touch, wisdom, and trust, working to radically change the way they see themselves and how, in turn, they will love their children.
Have she looked up into your face? You know why she's looking at you? Because she's in love with you.
She in love with me.
That's why she's looking. She's in love with your face. Nobody can get in between your bones. Nobody.
So I understand that that video is old, but I still love it. I think it still resonates. So I'm going to pass it off to Tikva Watley, and she is going to talk about the 5 essential components of the program.
Looking at the chat and seeing that they're saying, you know, how that video is making them cry. And a lot of times that's how it is whenever we play that clip or play the doula story. Honestly, people are still crying because especially they can identify with that. We have the 5 essential components. We have the 5 essential components that is like our foundation at Health Connect One. What has happened is that doing this work, we have gathered this information and the steps of what works from our partners. So when we talk about the 5 essential components, we know they work pretty much. And number 1 is that you must have an employed, trusted members of the community being served, because a lot of times people trust the people that they see. I noticed that when Kiara was on, she said, I see people that I know. She's seen faces that she know and can identify with. That's the same how it is with our essential components. People are more apt to allow you to come in if they know that they trust you and they know you're from that community, as well as there's a language that is spoken in that community that even though I'm African-American, I just can't come into the African-American into that neighborhood and think that's it. No, it's a language that is being spoke with you guys, that's being spoke. So also serve families from pregnancy through early child development. That is the emotional and physical support, home visit and labor support, as well as information and life skill building. So we have a home visitor model that has also the doula portion of it. And it's when they go into these homes, they are their friends. They have a relationship with them that a lot of times they will get information that the doctor cannot get from them, but it is the relationship portion of it. Number 3 is convene community for decision-making. A lot of what's going on now, the convening, when you come together, you're coming together as well as the community, because this program is also the community's program. And therefore we need to make sure that we're together and not me, but you guys, community. So the decision, there should be collective decision-making. Then facilitate our experiential learning portion of it. And so when we're doing that part, when you all are taking a 20 weeks training, that is facilitating and knowing more about Health Connect's more culture, as well as our way of doing things. And then number 5 is to value the staff with living wage and supervision. So when you have that, people, this is not a volunteer doula program, but this is more so the program that when you come together, there will definitely be supervision support that's done and on a weekly basis or however the Baxter community want to bring that together, but it should be support and supervision, but also being able to pay your bills when you're away and you're doing this work because you're helping someone else. That way it'll help you as well and be able to make sure that you're being supported. So that's it for me. And I'm gonna pass it on over to Miss Kiara. Does it? Go ahead, Kiara.
There we go. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Good. Well, thank you all for
Yes.
being here today. I am super excited to see so many familiar faces. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. So we are now the Day 1 Doula program, and we are going to be incubated at Baxter Community Center. And Sadie, you can advance the next slide. So I'm just going to share a little bit about myself. So my name is Kiera. I'm the program manager, like I mentioned before, for the Day 1 Doula program and collective. I am a certified doula, a certified lactation counselor, and a car seat safety technician as well. And I've also serviced my community as a community health worker in previous roles. You can advance to the next slide. So why doulas, why now? So access to continuous labor support from a doula is especially vital for birthing people of color. Black women experience higher rates of poor birth outcomes, including higher rates of C-sections, preterm birth, low birth weight, and infant death. Next slide, please. So if we look at the local data, specifically within Kent County, in 2018, Black babies were more than twice as likely to be born at a low birth weight or die within their first year of life compared to white babies. Next slide, please. So with the Day 1 Doula program and collective, we are a 2-strategy system level response to the inequities around low birth weight and the need to diversify the healthcare system. So our first strategy is to connect expecting women of color in Kent County with doula services, specifically prioritizing women who may be at risk of having a low birth weight baby. And then our second strategy really focuses on equipping a cohort of women of color in Kent County with the skills and certifications needed to achieve a career as a doula that allows them to earn a sustaining wage. And our goal is really to increase the likelihood of women of color to have a baby that is over 5.5 pounds. Next slide, please. So what do doulas do? So I know a lot of you probably have been wondering about this. So doulas provide a continuous source of comfort, encouragement, and support that's both emotional and physically during labor. We allow for families to make informed decisions by making sure that the client is provided with evidence-based information. Doulas also offer judgment-free support. So no matter what, decision a family makes as far as where they want to birth or how they want to birth, doulas provide no judgment. And then we also equip partners in supporting the birthing person. I know that we have a few fathers or fatherhood community members on our call today. So I just want to make sure that they're aware that doulas also support, fathers and father figures in labor and delivery, prenatal and postpartum as well. I do also want to mention some of the things that doulas don't do. So doulas do not offer medical advice or perform clinical tasks such as vaginal exams or fetal heart monitoring. Doulas also do not make decisions for the clients, either medical or otherwise. We're really there to walk alongside our clients, providing them with the evidence-based information and allowing them to make the decisions related to their birth and pregnancy experience that they so choose. And then doulas also don't change shifts. So although some doulas may call in backup doula support after several hours of continuous support, we don't change shifts every 12 hours. So you are guaranteed that one support person throughout your entire experience. Next slide, please. So eligibility. So in order to participate in our program, both as a doula or someone receiving services, you just have to identify as a woman of color and or be a member of a distinct and underserved community. You also must be a resident of Kent County and live within the area. And then the last requirement is you just have to be interested in and invested in addressing birth disparities within your community. If you are expecting a baby and wanting to receive services from our cohort, you still have to meet those eligibility requirements, but there is no gestational age requirement, meaning that you don't have to be a certain number of weeks in order to receive services. You would just need to contact us in order to receive services. Next slide, please. And for our community partners and organizations that are looking to partner with us and refer clients to the Day One Doula program, self-referrals are accepted. So if you are an expecting family, you can just contact us directly and we can go ahead and get you matched to a doula. Otherwise, if you are an agency, clinic, hospital, or organization, you can also submit referrals directly to us for the clients that you are serving. But to make a referral, we do have an online form. I will drop this link in the chat box just momentarily, but you would just need to go online, fill out that referral form, and then we can go ahead and take that client's information and make contact at that point. Next slide, please. And then what to expect next. So our Health Connect One Train the Trainer session will begin on November 18th. Our application for the doulas that have an interest in participating in the cohort, that application will go live this Friday on the 13th. If you're not already following us on the Facebook page, you can follow us at Day One Doula Collective, and then you'll be able to locate that link there. But if you've already submitted the pre-inquiry form, I'll also be sending out the application link via email. Our application review and interview process will begin December 2020, and that'll go through January, but we'll start reviewing applications as soon as they come in. So feel free to go ahead and start submitting those applications this Friday, and then we'll go ahead and review those and then go ahead and set up interviews. And then lastly, we are really excited to be able to announce our cohort in January. So that's why we're really pushing to have those applications come in so we can go ahead and get everyone interviewed and then make final decisions for those that will participate in the first cohort. Next slide, please. If you guys do have any additional questions, that won't be addressed during the presentation, you can feel free to get in contact with me. This is my contact information, but there will be a moment at the end of the presentation for Q&A, and I will address some of the other questions that we had come in also. And I will go ahead and pass it back to Sadie. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing so I can see more faces. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. We will take a break, but before we do that, I just wanted to see if anybody has any questions that came up either for us at Health Connect One or for Kiara at the Baxter Community Center about the program. So feel free to unmute yourself and talk to us. You can also use the chat feature as well. Tikva, is there anything else you feel like we haven't covered?
No, not at this time. It'd just be great if they have any questions that we could answer them during this time.
Great.
I have a question. Do you have doulas ready now so that we could make a referral of a pregnant mom?
So our doulas, thanks, Stephanie. Our doulas will actually have to go through training first. And that is 18 sessions, and I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but our doulas will go through those 18 sessions, and then the earliest we'll be accepting referrals for pregnant moms will be May or June.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Yes.
So we have a question in the chat. How many people will be selected for the first doula cohort?
So for the first doula cohort, we will have 10 doulas selected for that program.
Any other thoughts? comments, questions at this time?
What is the actual process for training and recertification? Is that something that's along the lines of this program?
Tikva, I'm gonna let you cover that one.
Well, for recertification, actually not through this, with Health Connect One, I think you're talking more about DONA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's where the recertifications for every 3 years. But with Health Connect One, it's more so training and for your community, so to speak, even though we're aligned with DONA. So we have trainers on staff that does DONA training, but this is a
Okay.
And there was a question Sarah asked earlier in the chat about previously residing in King County, but no longer living specifically within the area. With our program, we are specifically wanting community members that live and reside within the area. So as long as you meet the eligibility requirements, you are absolutely able to participate.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to know what is the doula program looking like during the COVID times? Like, what is it looking like actually working with clients and like the classroom or the session?
Yeah,
Great
I can
question.
definitely address that. So we are establishing policies and procedures as it relates to just the logistical aspects of the program, whether we're going to be in person or if we're going to try to do a hybrid model where we're both in person and online. So we are still following the recommendations, provided by the health department and the CDC related to just social distancing guidelines and things of that nature. So ideally with the work of a doula, it's, important for our training sessions, to be in person, but we recognize that right now that may not be the best option. So we are considering, like I mentioned, a hybrid model or having just virtual sessions, but we haven't finalized those plans yet as we just keep paying attention to the data that's available related to COVID.
And beyond the training, I would just mention too that it's been amazing to see how creative doulas have gotten in supporting their families, even given this pandemic. People are doing FaceTime while a mom's in a hospital in labor. And all, using the virtual tools at our disposal. Tikva, do you have any other creative ways that you've seen folks supporting their families?
You've mentioned it, but actually when you think about a doula offers emotional support. More of it is emotional. And when you're in the hospital, a lot of times, and if we can't get in, we offer the emotional support. A part of it is physical, but a lot of times it's more emotional portion of doing the doula work. And so you, when doing trainings, I always tell them we need to get your emotional weight up. You need to be able to connect with these families through the phone and through the FaceTime. So when you're doing the work itself, especially if you have that relationship with them already, it can be just as great as being in person. So a lot of people, and as Kiara was saying, is that now we're just getting to the point of how you can write the policies, should they be, because training a lot of people, we've trained people in California. And one of their things was that some of them were afraid to go into the hospital, but they knew that their clients needed them. But at the same time, you also had doctors and nurses advocating for them to come in the hospital and saying that they are the essential workers. So when you have that set up, it depends on how the organization feels with that part, because a lot of times as well, when I was speaking to one of them, I was like, oh, that's great news. They said, but okay, so if they get ill, who's going to be paying for that if they take it to their family? So it's just a lot of different things that needs to be adjusted as well as looked into. And I'm quite sure Baxter and Kiara, they're looking at that. So yeah, you have a lot of doulas, as Sadie was saying, they're very creative. I mean, they're sending packs to their home before they go to the hospital. They're working with their partners who will be able to go into the hospital with them. So it's different ways to do it. It's just a matter of what's the policy for the organization.
And a lot of times the hospital's policies will impact the doula's involvement. And so I think that as part of bringing this big group of people that are invested in the program, and if we have any medical providers, we would love to see you supporting the doulas and making sure if it's possible for them to get into the hospital, things like that. I also wanted to raise, and I think Tikva mentioned this too, Cassandra said, prepping partners for that physical support is so key right now. I love that idea that a mother or a birthing person might only be able to have one person, and the doula is doing the work to prep that person that will be with them to do that physical support. I'm just going back to make sure we didn't miss anybody. So there's a question, what are the eligibility requirements for the trainers who will be training the first cohort of doulas?
Yeah, so I'm dropping some of the responses in the chat box. So there are no prerequisites for those either participating as a trainer or in the actual doula training itself. You really just need to bring your hands and bring your heart and be willing to service community. So.
Thank you. I love that response. You see me and Tikva smiling so big. So there's another question. Is this focused more on birth or postpartum as well? So I would say one of the unique features about the community-based doula program is that it is not just birth or not just postpartum. It's working with families from pregnancy, hopefully somewhere around the 28th week of pregnancy, through the birth experience, into breastfeeding and early parenting. So it is an intensive model and an extensive model. So you're covering the whole span of that period of time with the family. And there's a question, what other ways can we support this work, even if we are not participating in the doula cohort?
That is a great question, and I'm really glad that you all asked. So actually at the end, you'll all be receiving an evaluation that we're hoping you all fill out. And within the evaluation, I have listed some commitment statements. If you want to participate in the actual cohort, if you're interested in becoming a referral partner, or if you're interested in signing up for an e-newsletter, but all of those options are going to be listed for how you can continue to engage and support us. So that'll be on the evaluation. So look out for that at the end of our meeting today.
And then I also wanted to mention that Kiara put the Facebook page for Day One Doulas into the chat feature. I hope everyone that uses Facebook can get on there and follow and keep track of what's going on with the program. And then one more question, are you anticipating that you will be able to hire all 10 doulas into the program?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. So we are aiming for high goals. So that is our hope, to be able to place all 10 doulas. But the design of our program is really in it being a collective. So we'll have opportunities within our collective to pair you with women to be able to service communities. And then we are having conversations now with our community partners as far as placement within other organizations or other systems where you can continue your support for the community, even outside of Day One Doulas. And then I should also mention within our training course, we will be providing some information related to entrepreneurship. So for those that are wanting to, start private practice, that is something that we'll cover during our course too.
Any other questions at this time?
I actually had a question in regards to like people that are aspiring to become doulas. Will there be any like support for people that are like mothers? Because I know doulas can be like a very on-call nature type job. So I just wonder if there will be like any support through like Baxter with childcare.
That's an awesome question. Thank you for asking that. So I'm a mother of two as well. So doula life can, it calls you when it calls you. And that's, in the middle of the night, early morning. So within our training cohort, we'll start to talk about some strategies and things of that nature, and really building the collective so that we can kind of lean on each other for those births that we have, throughout the day, or in the middle of the night. But we also are exploring opportunities within the Baxter CDC to be able to provide childcare. And then within our training, we are also offering assistance with childcare during the training. And then for those that are graduating and are still participating with us, we'll offer childcare and transportation to those that need it.
So I'm seeing a few more questions in the chat. How are you getting support? If it is a self-referral, what is the cost for the client?
So there is no cost to either participate in our training program or to receive services. The costs have been covered, which is an amazing opportunity for those that are seeking services and for those that are aspiring to be doulas. And then as far as how we're getting your support, I just want to clarify, are you asking about the referrals itself, how those are coming in? If so, we're relying on our community partners and word of mouth. Just to let individuals know that, the Day One Doula program is here, we exist. And with the amount of individuals that, have already expressed interest, we just have those kind of partnerships developing, and those referrals will be coming in early summer, end of spring.
One more question. Will the doulas be part-time or full-time?
And I want to clarify that question as far as the full-time or part-time. Are you asking about the training hours or more so after graduation and potential employment placement opportunities?
It was both. So for training and then after training, the hours involved.
Okay, so for the training, I did list that in the chat also, but we're tentatively planning to come together in person Wednesday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. at Baxter Community Center. But like I said, that could very well change just with the pandemic and COVID. But those sessions would be 3 hours in length. And that would be the time commitment for those 18 sessions that we're planning for. But beyond graduation, we would kind of need to, kind of gauge where our numbers are as far as referrals coming in. But as of right now, I don't have a solidified answer for the time commitment beyond graduation, because doula work, like I mentioned before, it just truly calls you and you never know what you're going to get at what time. So it's really unpredictable. So one of the things that we'll be looking for is just how people have flexibility within their schedule, and then really building on the collective, like I mentioned before, for those that have, childcare needs and things of that nature, and taking all of those into consideration.
So I'm gonna take this one last question before we take a break. We will have more time after the break and the breakout sessions if there are additional questions, comments that come up. So the last question before we take a break is, how many moms do doulas work with at a time?
I can answer that based on the previous organizations that we've trained. A lot of times the doulas have a caseload of 12 to 15, but we say that they should have at least one birth a month. And the reason why they're constantly cycling them off and building and getting more clients, because sometimes people say that's a lot, but it's not as many as it may appear, because they've already had births. A lot of times they don't just put them away, but they constantly work with them. at least. We're looking at the fact of at least 3 to 6 months. It would be great if they can do a year because of the infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate. But honestly, the organizations have the opportunity to choose how long they would work, the doulas would work with them. And not to mention the fact that we do have some programs, some organizations that will keep the client as long as they're breastfeeding. So that means if they're breastfeeding for 3 years, that client is still on that doula's schedule. So it depends on how long and what Baxter would like to see with the organization.
Yeah, so I would just add a little bit to that, you know, we don't want doulas to have too many births happening at the same time. So the role of the program manager and the supervisor is really important in making sure that the doula's caseload is spread out. So they don't all have all 12 of their caseload having births in 1 month. So a doula will have some prenatal clients and some postpartum clients. And that's one of the important roles of the supervisor, is making sure that the caseload is manageable and that every family can get the support that they need. So thank you so much for all your good questions. So we are going to take a short break so you can mute yourself and turn your camera off. We will come back at 11 a.m. and do a breakout session. So we'll see you back here in just a minute. So we're going to get back started here in just about 1 more minute. So as we all come back, I want to try an activity with the group. And this is what we call a waterfall. And one of our other facilitators that's part of our team shared this with us, and I really like doing it. So what I'm going to do is have everybody answer a question in the chat. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your answer into the chat, but not press enter until I say go. So that once you put your answer in the chat box, I'll say 3, 2, 1, go. And then everybody presses enter at the same time. So you see a bunch of different answers pop up. So the question is, what are you most excited about for this community-based doula program? What are you most excited about? So go ahead and put your answer into the chat, but don't press enter yet. So I'll give you.
What was the question again?
The question is, what are you most excited about for the community-based doula program at Baxter? So type in your answer, but don't press enter yet. Give you just a few more seconds. All right. So on 3, 2, 1, enter. Wow. That is awesome. And take a look through. Wow. Okay. I think I got back up to the beginning. Helping young parents, reaching those who need it most. Women will be loved and cared for. Expanding the support system for community families. Gaining more doulas who are women of color, very important. Tackling maternal infant health. Doing something I love and helping moms. Learning how to connect with moms, connections, brown chunky babies. Empowering mothers and partners, being a community partner, saving babies. More cute chunky brown babies.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Thank you everybody for sharing. And we'll have a lot to look through and find our themes from all the answers.
It's a lot. It's nice.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot so far, and we want to give everybody a chance to talk to each other. It sounds like a lot of you know each other already, but maybe not everybody knows each other. So we are going to do some breakout sessions now. Let me get to the slide. So Tikva, do you mind describing the breakout sessions while I start separating the groups?
Sure, no problem at all.
Yeah.
What we want you all to do is in your house, or if you're in your office, wherever you are, get an object and to show that's for the need, what you think is needed for the resource for the program. So when you pick something, and that once you pick and you say, this is definitely, you will see it as being a need for the program. When you all are going into different, the breakout sessions, have the opportunity that you could talk about what it is and build from that, that need. And whoever will be the reporter, they can be able to present on your behalfs if we have enough time for it. I think that'll be really fun though, because it gives you the opportunity to be creative as well as lend your gifts and that you may have or think that you can, what would be needed for the program. And as I see Sadie has, as well as the 5 essential component, you can actually and share it and identify, you know, how does this relate to the 5 essential components? They're all going off into their rooms.
Yeah, so I am going to send you off into your rooms now. It's 10:06. Let's reconvene at, I'm sorry, 11:06 your time. We are in Central Time. So it's 11:06. Let's reconvene at 11:20. And we'll give you a 1-minute warning in your group when we're going to come back to the full group. So you should have been asked to join a breakout room. Okay, I see a few folks here. I'm going to make sure you get assigned. I apologize. So the folks that are here, still here with me, did you see something pop up that asks you to join a room? Or are you not seeing that? Raquel, can you hear me? I'm trying to unmute you. Oh, there we go.
I can hear you.
Okay, did you get a request to join a breakout room?
No.
You didn't? Okay. Let me work on it. Okay, did something pop up? There we go. Okay. Abrielle, did you see an invitation for a breakout room? Hi there, Shantina. We have been put into breakout rooms that look like you may have come from doing something important. I am going to assign you, let's see, where is your name? I'm going to assign you to a group now, and it should ask you to join the breakout room.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Looks like we're coming back. Give everybody a minute for all the breakout rooms to close out. Everybody should be back in about 30 seconds. You're on mute, Tikva, if you were trying to tell me something.
No, I was admiring the baby and how cute. Dr. Miss.
We got a baby on the screen, where?
Allison, did you see the baby? Allison, beauty pie.
Too much going on the screen. There's the baby. Thank you.
Cute.
Okay. Tikva, would you mind leading us through a discussion on what happened in the breakout rooms?
Sure. I'm really excited to see how my room will report back. So tell us, who wants to go first and what room? Who's a reporter?
So at this point, feel free to unmute yourself and let's chat.
Well, first, I was in Tikva's group. We decided as a group that we would bring positive affirmations, our family, our ancestors, representation, our furry companions, connections and support, resources, our heart, knowledge, and compassion.
Thank you, Kayla, for sharing that. Anyone else? What did you have? Your creativity juices in these rooms. Who was the next reporter? Unmute yourself. No one?
Go ahead. I'll go for our group. So one of the things that someone brought was a breast pump to kind of help mothers make sure they're maintaining their breastfeeding skills, and we're always assisting with that. Another one we had was a great aloha sign. So she mentioned to always be welcoming to mothers. We want to make sure that moms feel comfortable to give birth. So that was a great item laying around. Another one was a rebozo, and that's to also assist with the birthing process, but also to represent connection between mom and partner. We have a phone book, and that's not just for the mom, but that's also for the doula to maintain her support system so that she has people to call out on. And then we did a pillow for comfort, because doulas use a lot of pillows, and also pillows can just be comfortable in general.
Cool beans. Thank you, Priscilla. That's great. Who else? Because you guys have that creativity in you. So it was just, it's really great to see how everyone from their environment, whether you're home or in the office, you all have the creativity. So who else want to report out? I get all excited about this. Who else?
Go ahead. I was in breakout room. Can you all hear me okay? Oh, I was in breakout room 5. Indira brought a hammer representing strength, which I loved, and I also represents what systems of oppression we're dismantling as well. Anissa showed us this beautiful piece of art where it depicted 2 women co-working together, which she felt represented women supporting women and the collaboration and co-creation that's necessary. Kendra showed us a plant and talked about, she quoted Kamara Jones, and it was a story kind of addressing how it's the soil that's the problem, it's not the plant that's the problem, and how this feels like addressing the issues at the soil.
Your group got so deep.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Symphony showed us her beautiful crystal earrings and was talking about the spiritual aspects of birth and autonomy back in women, and just how perfectly aligned the systems of physiologic birth are, how perfectly designed they are, and how and the spiritual aspect of that.
So good. Yes. Who else? Come on with it.
I will go. So with our group, the first thing that was brought up was I think it was a $20 bill. So money when it comes to funding for the program and how people that need the services will not have to necessarily pay for the services. So that's really great to provide that to the community. We also had a heart, which our doulas are going to be loving on and supporting their clients. We had a baby, which just represents the whole reason why we're here to have an outcome of a healthy, happy baby and healthy, happy families, how that means so much to all of us as a collective. And then we have a pen so that communities and partners can spread the word about the services that are here and that more people are reached that way. And then we also had amethyst crystal, which goes with healing and love, and how we're going to be able to heal women and families through the work that we're doing.
Awesome. Thank you, Mariah, for sharing that. That's awesome. You guys, the group, really great. Any other, anyone else want to report out for their group?
Yeah, I can go. I think we were in a group 4, and Benita did an amazing job of kind of leading us. And we had, she actually had a breast that was kind of demonstration of the work that is being done and needs to be done, you know, on breastfeeding. So that was quite amazing. We also had Rhonda from the Native American community really talking about how important this work is and how connected she would love to be more so. I believe her daughter is involved here today. And then not everyone got to speak. We just ran out of time, but there was a lot of discussion on disparities in funding. I think just echoing what has already been shared. And I think that this is amazing chemistry, amazing work, just powerful, powerful women here.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing that. Some common themes here, which is really great. Anyone else want to share for your group before we move on?
Yeah, I'll share. I was in group 2. Can everybody hear me? I hope. Okay.
Yes.
So, me and Erica, I shared a journal and Erica shared a pen, so I feel like we both kind of go together. But for written reflections and always observing and writing and making sure we're always staying informed, Anne Jeanette shared a heart that her daughter made for her to remind us to always bring our heart with our clients and wherever we go. Danielle shared a little toy truck to represent childcare because we're all going to need it and to help each other out. Tira shared a blanket for comfort, our own comfort, and to provide comfort to our clients. Stephanie shared a scarf to represent wrapping around women. And Faye shared a cabbage, meaning money, but also I said we can also apply that to the nutrition and nourishment aspect of keeping our clients healthy, providing healthy meals for them. And then she also made a little show with her cabbage leaves for breastfeeding. So yeah, I thought it was, for mastitis. I thought that was a good, creative.
Yeah, it was. That was good. Thank you for that, Cassandra. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Gonna take, if you don't have any, we're gonna take one more before we transition over. Anyone else?
I
And if
just
you
want to
don't have,
share that I am loving all of the creativity and all of the items that were shared. There is a crazy amount of just knowledge and wealth within this group, and I am super, super excited just to be here. But one thing within our group that we talked about was language accessibility and fatherhood engagement also. So I just wanted to bring those forth that language accessibility is huge, and that within our program, we do have funding available to provide language services. So for those that would need, assistance with interpretation, we do have that available, and it's really important for us to cater to, those individuals who English isn't their first language. But as far as fatherhood, one thing that was brought forth was talking about building fathers into our program and initiative and not having them as an add-on. Oftentimes you see programs that, fathers are over here, or we can send you over here to receive services, but really incorporating fathers within our program is something that was brought up in our group.
yeah, wow, that is so good. That is really good. That's how we ended up having male doulas too, Kiara, is that one of the dads was like, I'm tired of coming in and act like I'm a coat hanger. And he was like, I'm not. If it wasn't, he said, we here together. If it wasn't me, she wouldn't be here, and he was saying that. So he wanted to be a doula. And we were like, you can't be a doula, so honestly, to hear that a program is building and including them, as a part of the family, that is amazing. As well as the funds for, you said English is their second language, to have that language accessibility, that is awesome. You don't see that. That is awesome. I'm excited. Anyone else? Yes. You done it? Okay. That's it? Okay. Well, I will send it back over to Miss Sadie. Go ahead. I could just stay in that all day. They're so
I
cute.
know.
And
Thank you so much, Tikva.
Yeah.
I just want to do a few shout outs. I think we have maybe one or two gentlemen on the call today. I'd love to give them a round of applause. You can use your reactions on there's thumbs up and round of applause. If there's any men that have joined us that would like to share a little bit about themselves, please feel free to do so. I want to give another shout out to Anissa. I worked with her for over a year, and she was very integral in obtaining the funding for this project. So big shout out to her. It's so nice to see your face again after a while. And thank you so much for connecting us with Kiara and Tiffany. It's been great working with you all. Another shout out while I'm at it. We have folks here that are working. Someone was, I think, working at the hospital. She had her mask and all her gear on. We have someone on the call who is a patient in the hospital, and we have most everybody sharing their screens today. And I love that. That doesn't always happen. It really shows me the commitment and the engagement and the investment in this program. I know, sometimes we have crazy things going on in our house and we can't always share a screen, but it's so nice to see faces. When we were watching the trailer for the doula story and I saw hugging and touching the babies, I was like, realize how much I miss hugs and physical touch. But this is the next best thing that we have for right now.
Sadie,
Yes.
I just wanted to introduce Tiffany
Oh,
earlier
she joined
on
us?
the call. Tiffany is my excellent teammate, and she, is coming in pretty late, but Tiffany is en route to her sister to help deliver her baby. Tiffany is our midwifery consult. She is the first Black certified professional midwife in the city of Grand Rapids, and she's working alongside me with this initiative. So I just want to give Tiffany a moment to just introduce herself and say hi. So she's going to jump on.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much, Kier, for introducing me. I'm so sorry that I missed the beginning. But like she said, I'm heading to my sister to deliver my niece. So you guys could just send good vibes. I am the first Afro-Latina midwife of Grand Rapids that is a CPM. And I'm just so excited to work alongside Kier. We are all doing amazing work, and I'm happy to finally be sharing this with our community. So I can't wait to get involved with you guys and get to know you and, teach you and guide you and all of that good stuff. And I'm gonna mute because I'm in the airport.
Good luck. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
joining us
much.
and introducing yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Safe travels too, Tiffany. I'm just excited.
Love you, Tiffany.
I see another baby.
Yes.
Getting my oxytocin fix for the day. Thank you.
Going up. Yes.
So, we have completed. Sorry, was someone just speaking? It was a little choppy. Sounds like there's a baby that wants to participate. So we have completed most of our agenda. We do have some time left over. I want to leave this space open for open dialogue. If there's any more questions that you all have, anything else you want to share, now is the time to do it. And then we might be able to get out a little bit early. So Kiara, is there anything specific that you'd like to ask the group?
So I just wanted to know from the group, does everyone have access to social media? Because like I mentioned earlier, the application to enroll to be a participant in the cohort will actually go live on Facebook, but I will also send it through email. So I just want to make sure that you all were able to see the link to the Facebook group in the chat box and or have access to Facebook in some capacity. So if you could just confirm for me if you do have access by typing yes in the chat box.
Kira, do you have emails for this group? Was that a part of registration at all for some kind of a listserv?
Yep. So I started collecting emails a while ago, actually. So I have a pretty extensive list of everyone that submitted the initial kind of pre-inquiry form. So if they're not able to access Facebook, then I'll be sending that information via email too. And then what I will do, I'm going to go ahead and drop that inquiry form in the chat box. So for those of you that are just now joining us today or haven't filled out that form, that you have accessibility, and then I can get your information that way also.
And I just wanted to jump on and say, I'm just so amazed to see this. This was something that I walked alongside of for literally years to get to this point, and it's just so great. And I want to just encourage everyone to maintain this momentum and this excitement. There won't be this entire group of nearly 50 people won't all be trained as doulas, and I know many of you might support in different ways, but I think staying in touch with the updates will be really powerful, and just being the community that Kiera or any of the people involved can call on for whatever the need is. We don't know what exactly will be ahead, but if there's an additional need for funding, or maybe there needs to be like testimonials as far as community impact to put in grant reports, or who knows, we're looking at different legislative actions and just talking about what the outcomes are connected to doulas, that we can all answer that call to bring that support and show that this is needed. Whether you're a birthing person, whether you're a doula, whether you have kids or not, this is good for community outcomes in general, and whatever support is needed. I know Kiera and the team are going to keep us up to date, and I just hope that this is a group she can rely on to not just have this initial excitement, but bring it all the way forward and then just support its expansion, because I truly believe that this is just the beginning. And as we really start to see the results and the impact, that this can grow and become just an integral part of our community support for families and babies.
And please feel free, for anyone that has any remaining questions, the time is now to go ahead and ask those. You can either unmute yourself and ask, or feel free to pop your question in the chat box.
Good question. Will this recording be linked to the Facebook page for those that wanted to learn about this program that couldn't be here today?
Yes, so we will go ahead and get that information so that we can post it on the Facebook group, but then I can also link that information in the email also.
I have a question. I know we had discussed earlier that like we weren't sure exactly if the position would be full-time or part-time. I'm just wondering, out of like my agenda, what would be like, what even a typical day would look like, what the requirements for the day would be. Would I be able to still work another job? Like how does that exactly, how would that work?
Yeah, I can kind of address that. So the commitment during the training itself is just going to be those 18 sessions. We're planning on Wednesday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. at Baxter at the actual facility. Like I said, that likely will change just with COVID and social distancing and things of that nature. But we are considering a hybrid model. So that'll be the commitment through the actual training itself. Now, beyond that is going to really just depend on when babies come whenever they want. So whether it's morning, evening, late afternoon, weekends, holidays, during pandemics, babies are still being born. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier is really just building those relationships within this initial cohort, so that if we did need to access either the Baxter CDC childcare, for those that would be going out, late nights or early mornings to service families, that you have childcare available through that option, or relying on your doula sisters to be able, to support you with your childcare needs. But unfortunately, I can't really give you a solidified answer on what the commitment would be beyond graduation, because like I mentioned, babies just come when they come.
Yeah, they come when they're ready. Okay, well, thank you. That answers.
I love the concept of doula sisters, but I also just wanted to add, Kiera, to in terms of the design of the program and the original like grant funded applications, the funding to support doulas after graduation certainly isn't going to be enough to support full-time employment, at least at the beginning. Part of it will be how many women are enrolled and interested in having a doula, and just kind of evening that out with how many doulas are trained. So some of that will be determined, but the actual doula work that would be after the training is partly solidifying that certification. You actually have to attend a certain amount of births to be fully certified as a doula, and being compensated for that time. And then the other commitment of the program is to walk alongside each person who goes through the training to determine what they want for their job prospects and career aspirations as a doula. Is it something that they want to do as their own business? Do they want to join an existing collective? Is there new collectives that are going to be birthed out of this? So that kind of employment assistance to think about that will be ongoing. And some of that will be community partnerships too. I know there was a few medical professionals on this call. There may be clinics in town that want to bring a full-time doula as part of their staff cohort. support. So we want to be looking at all those options. Some of the hospital systems are looking at doulas more. So a lot of this program will be walking with women to find what's best for them after, and compensating them for any time that they serve through the program, but not being like a 40-hour-a-week job with benefits. It would be more connecting to them to what that is next, and having the community help create more opportunities for doulas to have full-time sustaining wage jobs.
Great. Another question someone asked was that what are the other options if not picked to enroll in the doula training program?
Yeah, so there's various ways to continue to stay connected to the community-based doula program. Like I mentioned, those commitment statements will be within the evaluation, but we are also planning on having reoccurring cohorts also. So that's a part of kind of what we brought up during the breakout sessions is what do we need to sustain our program beyond, you know, the initial piloted period. So we are definitely working on that sustainability piece and then offering another cohort. And then there was another question that I saw also regarding certification. So the question says, would we be considered certified doulas after the training? And if so, who would the certification be through? So with our program will set you up to fulfill some of the certification requirements. And then from that, you have the option to actually certify. I brought it up before that through Health Connect One, they do have some trainers available that can kind of speak to the DONA certification if some of you were wanting to pursue that option. But there are other other certifying organizations that you can choose to certify through as well. But our program really is set up to put you in a nice spot to meet most of the requirements for actual doula certification, whether it be DONA, Pro Doula, Childbirth International, things of that nature. And there's another question in the chat too. Are there any plans to have regularly scheduled doula cohorts after the first initial cohort? And that answer is yes. So we are planning on offering another cohort if you're not selected for the first initial.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if I was muted. So will the course include the being there? I don't even know how to word it, like shadowing of birth, and then I guess like if the course does include that, how does that work with COVID? Like, are hospitals not allowing doulas or husbands in the room? I know that's like two questions in one, but yeah.
Yeah, Tikva, you want to take that one?
Sure. I was just, when you were just saying stuff, and it made me think back to when I've taken the training 20 years ago. I've taken this training, and we did not shadow another doula. We had, and I see what Baxter has is that they have a collaboration already with different partners in the community. So what we did was, when you're going through this 20-week training, it would have you to be able to prenatal visits, see well child check. That's all that you'll be doing. But because of COVID, now it's more so virtual support and making sure you build this relationship with them virtually. We do have a couple of organizations, I said before, some of them will go into the home. It depends on a policy that's put in place for Baxter. Because even we have people who says, I want to go, then you have some people who are afraid to go, and rightfully so. So we want to make sure that it aligns with what Baxter wants to do. But yeah, when I did it 20 years ago, it wasn't no COVID, but I didn't go and shadow anyone either. I learned it as I went along, as well as taking a 20-week training. So it's a lot of information, even that's going to be shared with you all in this amount of time. So it's a lot of information. You'll be well prepared.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that a little bit. There are some observation requirements as part of the 20-week training, as Tikva mentioned, attending a breastfeeding class and attending a childbirth class. And that's part of the requirements for the doula training. and a lot of those are happening virtually. So it won't look like it would have looked a year ago, but there will be a lot of real life experience that happens as part of the training.
I have a question. Doulas don't actually catch babies, right? That's the midwife or doctors.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
That's correct.
I help a lot because people think that. And a lot of times what I do is I tell them, doulas coach, midwives catch. So we don't do, whenever I'm teaching these, no, you don't do vaginal exams, you don't do blood pressure checks, you don't do any of that. That's beyond your scope. You coach, midwives catch. And that's how it goes, like that way. It'll help people because a lot of people say, oh, you're a student midwife. No, 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 no. I coach. Midwives catch. Doctors catch. I don't do that. So it just really helped. And then it just keeps you a lot of times out of being sued because a lot of times people say, yeah, they love you, but when something don't go right, no, just keep yourself out of all of that. Coach, you at the head and they be at the bottom. So
I love that phrase, Tikva. Doulas coach, midwives catch. That's a good clarifying question. Thanks for asking, Kayla.
That's what they usually ask too. They always say, do I need insurance? You know, how does it go? A lot of the organizations now, even the personal doulas are getting insurance. A lot of times they're doing it. But at first, we did not have this problem with people needing the insurance because everybody operated in their scope. But when you have people who kind of like aspiring to be midwives, honestly, I love midwives. But sometimes people are aspiring to be midwives, they tend to say, okay, let me just do a little vaginal check here. You know what? I think, and I'll never forget this. It was a time when I had just became a doula and this young lady was aspiring to be a midwife. She was leaving and she said, yeah, the resident said she was 4 centimeters, but when I checked her, she was 6. I said, whoa, wait. Nobody's gonna stop her. She's not supposed to do that, you know? And so, but people was like, oh, okay. And they didn't say anything. So when I was in Mississippi and Erykah Badu was down there, I love Erykah Badu, her songs, everything, but I'm a trainer. She over here trying to do some stethoscope and living heart. I said, that's beyond your scope. Everybody looked at me like, that's Erykah. No, that's beyond your scope. Now, if you want to be a midwife, go ahead, do your thing, but that's beyond your scope. So no, we want to make sure that we operate within our scope and not outside of our scope. And we may even be, some of us may be medical assistants. Some of us may even do different things that we know how to check heart rates and do all of that, but we don't do that. Now, if you want to be a doula at that time, you be a doula, regardless of you doing the other part and saying, you know, there could be a medical assistant, all that. You got to take off and be very straightforward. I'm not a doula right now, but again, you have to operate under the policy of Baxter. If Baxter saying they're hiring you for that paycheck to be a doula, you be a doula, regardless of what you know. No, I'm a doula. That's beyond my scope. So now we have a lot of people now getting into, you said over, you know, we have a lot of people now purchasing from CMMF that insurance, the liability, because we have a lot of aspiring doulas who want to be midwives, which is awesome. I want to be a midwife. I don't need to check your cervix. I've done this for so long with my over 200 births. I could sit you on the birth ball and I could kind of tell where you are, engaged where you are. I don't have to stick my fingers in you. Even when it came down to one of the doctors I was working with at the University of Chicago, she wanted to teach me how to do it. She said, that's what you'll know. You see what they mean when they say +1 + 2? I'm good. You go ahead. I'm good. No. I'm good. So to keep myself, I've been doing, like I said, for 20 years. I have not been named in no court cases. I am in my scope. So yes, great question. So I'm glad I had to have that moment to tell y'all that. So yeah.
I'm loving the comments. I don't know if you're seeing them, Tikva. Yeah, so as Tikva was saying, scope of practice is very important. A doula is not a clinical provider. A doula provides emotional, physical in the way of suggesting comfort measures, but it doesn't go beyond that. It's not a clinical role. Physical, emotional, educational support.
Yeah. Any other questions?
You've got Tikva, who is the Director of Education at DONA, and she is our lead on doula. So take advantage of having her available to you right now, as you can see her passion for this work.
I don't want to scare them.
Could we possibly hear like what your daily, not daily, but like what a day in the life of a doula like looks like from your perspective? I've been watching all those YouTube videos, like day in the life of a doula.
Usually what happens is that the doula have the opportunity to do home visits. And I would say don't book more than 2 home visits that day, because a lot of times when you start trying to pile everyone in together, you miss that moment of being with that family. So we want to make sure we build a relationship. And I tell people this, if you don't show me your house, you're not going to show me your. You may not call me. That's a 50-50%. But if I build this relationship with you and you have the opportunity to see how I am and be honest and be transparent when you're talking to them, that doesn't mean I need to sit here and tell you, oh my God, I just broke up with them too. No, we don't do that. But we be there with them and allow them to speak and have that opportunity. So when we do that, we can kind of hang with them a little bit. Now, I had another doula who I was following for accreditation. And this young lady hung out with them for like almost 3 hours. I was like, we gotta go, because hanging out on the floor with the doctor, but they had that relationship. The mom had just had the baby and she was in there, and I'm like, we gotta go because we want to make sure we get back in. Because sometimes too, they'll be like, you know what? Stephanie came by and she was in here forever. So you know what? We already know she's going to be someone who talk a lot. So therefore, we can't visit her today. We got to go make some moves. But if you go in and you touch and you be with them, if they really need you, you can gauge that. So that way you can be able to have that opportunity. So you may have 2 home visits that day, and then you may hang out in the clinic if you want to see who's coming in, because some of the time they come to the clinic. If you can do that part, that's how it's been set up. But now virtually, it's a different movement. So we want to just make sure that you should have at least 2 people you visit, as well as phone conversations and virtual FaceTime now, which takes a lot of time.
And Symphony, I can kind of speak to that too.
Yeah.
Within my own practice, just supporting families virtually right now, is a lot of back and forth text messaging, actually scheduling times to FaceTime either on my cell phone, iPad, computer, whatever platform works best for families. But spending a lot of time just navigating systems, answering questions, staying up to date on what current hospital policies are. Like this morning, I had gotten a text message that Spectrum Health specifically is down to 1 support person, and then doula support available at Spectrum. So, with the rise in COVID numbers, hospitals are changing policies daily as it relates to the pandemic and COVID-19. So a lot of virtual doula support is just going back and forth and informing patients and clients of what's current and what's going on, but also providing that emotional support. Like Tikva mentioned earlier, a lot of what we do as doulas is providing emotional support. I have a first-time mom right now that I'm supporting, and I spend a lot of time doing virtual support with her. She's had previous losses as well. So just kind of comforting her amidst a pandemic, having a first baby, like that's a huge deal. So that's kind of what the day in the life looks like right now. On occasion, I do some home visits, but it's very limited. And I make sure, to wear personal protective equipment, monitoring my temperature every day, things of that nature. And then also, asking families before I go in the home if they've potentially been exposed to anyone that had a positive COVID test or potential exposure, and just kind of going through that. But with our cohort, we'll definitely talk about COVID and how it's going to be a factor in how we're supporting families. And then we'll definitely talk about virtual support and how to support families.
Yes, great. Go ahead, Sadie. That was good. Yeah.
So we are coming up to the end of our time. Thank you everyone so much for joining. I loved the conversation. I love that we got to get into it. Even though we had so many people, we still were able to connect. So just some housekeeping things. We have recorded this session and we will make that available. If you want to revisit anything, Kiara will share that with everybody. We do have an evaluation form that we'd love for you to fill out. I am putting that in the chat feature right now, and I'll also send that in a follow-up email. And then if you're willing, we'd like to do a virtual group picture of everybody that was here. So if you're willing to have your screen on, I'm going to do that now. It's not mandatory. So if you give me 1 second to do that.
So everyone smile.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
And then Sadie, you'll probably have to do the other page too.
Yes. So I'm going to switch to the next page of folks on the screen.
Smile.
Got it. Okay. Kiara, Tikva, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah.
I'm just appreciative. Go ahead, Kiara.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I'm just really grateful to have all of you in this space and to be willing to participate and share your thoughts, to really, just elevate you and continuing to use your voice as it relates to initiatives and things that are important to you. And I am super excited to just, hit the ground running. This is our official kickoff. Like I mentioned, we'll be starting our first Train the Trainer session just next week. And I'm really excited to start doing that. Don't forget the application will go live on the 13th, and I'll post that on the Facebook group as well as send it out via email. So you all have that information, and don't forget to spread the word about the Day One Doula program.
Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to see your faces on the screen.
Have a great rest of your week.
Nice meeting you.